Good morning, Steve Jolly with Benchmark Realty, and welcome to the Music City Show. For August 27th, 2020, we are so glad to have you this morning. Thank you for tuning in. I want to give a special thank you to all my loyal viewers who tune in every Thursday morning shortly after 8 a.m. So let's dive into today's program. So today we're going to talk about the market update. But before we get to that, I want to talk to you about how to find the right neighborhood. And this is especially helpful to you if you are not from Nashville. But even if you are from Nashville, there's so many neighborhoods in Middle Tennessee. It's hard to know them all, or even to see them all. So this is helpful to you, even if you've lived in Nashville for a long time. How to find the right neighborhood. And so when you get started looking, the best overall advice I can give you is just trust your gut. Trust you when it tells you that you found something good, and trust you when something doesn't pass the smell test. So when something looks bad, it probably is. So trust your gut initially, because these decisions are not made in. A lot of times, these quick decisions aren't made in the new information we're given, but they're based on an accumulative of experience and information we've received over time. So they're real important to us. Let me tell you a story first about these type of quick decisions. So there was a statue called Kouros, which was an ancient Greek statue, and it was about ready to be purchased by the Getty Museum. And so during their due diligence period, they were showing this statue to their own experts, to their own attorneys, and all of them verified the authenticity of this statue. They were paying $9 million for it. So as soon as the due diligence period was done, they made the payment, they got the statue, they brought this statue to art historians, to experts in Greek sculpture, and although none of them could actually put their fingers on it, all of them knew that it was a fake. All of them knew that it was a forgery. But how did they know? Well, it was based on their accumulated experience. Although they couldn't point to one thing that says, "Oh, this makes it a forgery," they knew from looking at the overall picture that something didn't seem right, and they couldn't put their finger on it. But how did they know? That's the big question, right? How did they know? These so-called quick decisions are snap judgments. So the one thing about humans that's been good for us over time, it's helped us, um, cause us to be safer, to live longer lives, is we've evolved to make these quick decisions based on all this experience we've gathered throughout our lives. Um, but there's one thing that you got to be careful about quick decisions. They should always be verified. So you always need to go to the source of information, because they're not 100% accurate. They're pretty close, but they're not 100% accurate. So you should always verify them. And that's where I really come into play, or where Gretchen and I come into play in this, is because we want to be that source of information for you so you can verify what your gut is telling you. Is this right or wrong? And we're not going to spoon feed you just the information we're going to know. We're going to point you to the source of the information so you can get it straight from the horse's mouth, so you can see it for yourself and know the truth. We want to be very transparent in this way. We think that's very important to you. And I think it helps you feel more comfortable about what you're doing. It helps you leave less stress and less frustration in these all important decisions you make when you're buying a home. That's what we want to do for you. We want to be the person that provides that information, being the source of the information, and not just spoon fed to you the stuff that we want you to know. So that's the difference that we do for you compared to a lot of our colleagues. So we're going to give you the source of information. We're going to be very transparent. All right. So that's enough about snap decisions. Let's get into the market update for this week. So this is our sales chart. If you notice, it's a different looking chart than we've had in the past months, but it's something I'll talk about a little bit later. Sales are still continuing an upward trend. We see the last 3 weeks have been pretty steady, 3 weeks in a row of sales. We always have that jump in sales. You can see that peak about every 4 to 5 weeks. That's the end of the month. We always have a bunch of sales that get entered in late at the end of the month. And so next week I expect another peak like that. Will it be as high as the July peak? I'm not convinced that it will be, but we will see. And I will keep you informed. I'll keep you posted. Let's jump in and look at the next chart. These are new listings. Once again, 3 weeks in a row, we've had a nice, steady, um, steady flow of new listings to the market. That's really important because new listings is the one thing that is the roadblock in our market today. It's the lack of listings is keeping more homes from being purchased. It's helping prices to increase. So if you're thinking about listing your home, it's still a great time to sell. There's still a bunch of demand, which I'll show you in a minute. All you have to do is text or call me at 615-257-9996. Let's look at the showings for this week. Now, one thing you'll notice, I have the wrong week highlighted here, so I apologize for that. But the very last week, you notice it took a little nosedive. Don't be too concerned about that, and here's why. Because usually we have a drop-off when schools start back up. And guess what happened this week in most of the counties, including Nashville, the surrounding area? Schools started back up. People are busy. People are working, are doing school stuff at home with their kids. If they're at the at home route, the in-person route, they're getting ready, taking them to school. So we usually see a drop off in showings at this point of the year. It's usually earlier in August because that's when schools are typically open, but they opened up a little bit later this year. So we'll see that drop off. I expect it'll bounce back up in another week or two. We'll keep an eye on it, and I'll make sure you know about it. One more thing about under contract homes. This is another strong showing of the buyer demand that's out there. A big jump in under contract homes for the week. It's a good feeling. It helps know that the market is still strong. We haven't yet peaked for the year. We're probably somewhere around our plateau. I'm guessing that August is going to be our peak month this year. We will see. It could last a little bit longer, or the selling season could stretch out. There's no telling what's going to happen this year to our seasonality of business. I expect it will change from what it has been in the past, but we'll keep an eye on that for you and let you know. Regardless of all that, it's still a good time to buy a home. It's still a good time to sell a home in Nashville. So looking at the median sales price over the last 4 weeks, it's jumped up a little bit from when I last reported. Median sales price now over the last 4 weeks is $340,000. And the total days on market is 76. Now, if you see this number reported days on market, you'll see it jumping all over the place. And here's why. Not everybody calls days on market the same thing. And so I'm calling this total days on market. And so what that means is these are the number of the days from the time you list the home to the time it closes. So these are your total days where your home is being sold, from the day that you list the home to the day you sell your home. Averaging right now about 76 days on the market, about 2.5 months. If you're in a popular area, it's going to be a lot shorter than that. If you and here's where that comes from. Right now, on average, it's probably about 30 days till your home gets under contract, and you have another 30 to 45 days for that loan to process and close. And so that's where your approximately 76 days on the market comes into play. And that's really fast compared to history. Wasn't a few years ago, this was probably closer to 200 days on the market, 6 months on the market. We'll keep an eye on that for you. But I think the way that it looks right now, things are going quite well. All right, so if you are interested in these charts and you want to look for yourself, all you have to do is go to musiccityshow.com, scroll all the way to the bottom. The reason I'm having you do that is because this dashboard is still in beta mode, and I'm only showing it to my loyal viewers of Music City Show. So it's out there for you to play with, for you to look at, for you to see what is happening in your area. So if you notice, you can select now. You can select by week, which wasn't available last week. So you can select any number of weeks over the last year. You can select by county, by city, and by zip code to see what's happening in your area. And as you make those selections, your days on market, your median sales price, your sales, your new listings, and your under contract homes will all update just for your area. So that'll show you exactly what's happening in your area, give you better insight on what you should do and how you should form your plans. Sounds good? All you have to do is go to musiccityshow.com, scroll to the bottom, and you'll see the rest. Just keep in mind, this is beta. The data is good. And holding it just for you for the time being. It'll be released to the public in a few weeks, but for right now, that's all yours. And coming up next week on the Music City Show, we are going to talk about you need the right price and this to be successful as a buyer. So this is the next edition in our series for buyers on the Music City Show. We hope you tune in. Be next Thursday morning shortly after 8. I love to see you. Again, a big thank you for tuning in today. And I want to say peace and love, y'all. Take care. Have a good day.